Hello, everybody. My name is Roy Nemer of Mundo Albiceleste.com, and welcome to another live Argentina discussion. I am joined by Osvaldo Godoy, also of Mundo Albiceleste.com, and we are here to talk about Enzo Fernandez in the Club World Cup final with Chelsea. We're going to talk about all the transfer news: Rodrigo De Paul, Lionel Messi, Angel Di Maria, Thiago Almada. There are so many players in the transfer market, and of course, taking your questions and comments as always. First things first, Osvaldo, how are you? How's everything?
I'm good, Roy. I'm excited that an Argentine it's in the final of this Club World Cup. It's gonna be either Germán Cano or Enzo Fernandez. Happy that it's the case of Enzo Fernandez. And yes, a lot of things to talk about. There's a lot of transfer news, rumors, and some that are surprising, like the one from Rodrigo De Paul.
That's a big one. That caught, I think, everybody by surprise. And we'll get to that in just a second. As always, everybody, let us know down below where you're watching from. We tend to get from all around the world. Let us know down in the comments. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe button, notifications button. We got a lot of stuff coming up. Keanu Ruiz, there you go. Hello. Keanu Ruiz, how are you, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Regular of the chat. Kursiniat as well from Akron, Ohio. Why does Rodrigo De Paul want to move to the US? Doesn't he care about the World Cup next year? Also, when will we ever see Seba? We're going to see Seba. Don't worry. We're constantly in communication with Seba. It's just scheduling in general is a little bit difficult at times. But Seba will be back. I promise you that. And we're going to talk about De Paul in just a second. Uh, First things first, we're just kind of talking about it. Chelsea, Enzo Fernandez. In the Club World Cup final, defeating Fluminense 2-0. Two great goals, it has to be said, by Chelsea. And this was, I mean, how surprised are you that Chelsea are in the final? And of course, Enzo Fernandez actually leading the Club World Cup with 3 assists, the
Wow.
most throughout the entire tournament.
Wow. Yes, I mean you wouldn't really expected it before the tournament, but after the rivals that maybe Chelsea had to face, first Benfica, then Palmeiras, then Fluminense, starting in the round of 16. I would say that Chelsea was the favorite in each of those matches. Some people would argue that they didn't face really good opponents, but they faced Chelsea didn't choose who they were gonna face,
Right.
and they did a good job in the group stage. And Enzo Fernandez playing really well, starting all the games and really showing a good level. And it's gonna be against either Real Madrid, PSG. We're talking a little bit about those possible opponents. It's gonna be definitely hard for Chelsea, but it's also true that since they had a journey way more, way easier in terms of the rivals, who knows? Maybe they get to the match uh, more fresh than the Real Madrid or PSG.
It's certainly possible. I mean, if you want to talk about freshness and fitness and whatnot, we are Tuesday. Chelsea just played Real Madrid, PSG, the other semifinals on Wednesday in 24 hours time. So Chelsea does have that 24-hour
That's true.
advantage. Yeah, both teams playing in the heat in MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, um, scoldering heat, very hot. So is that going to play a factor? Having the 24 hours rest, it could. Of course, it absolutely could, especially towards essentially the very end of the season, almost the start of the preseason. Uh, Chelsea had Flamengo in their group. They had Los Angeles FC, LAFC, and Espérance de Tunis. So not the most difficult of groups, if we're being honest. But if you compare that to who Madrid had, Al Hilal, Red Bull Salzburg, Pachuca, and some of the others, it's is it the most difficult road to the final? No, but there's that old saying: is you play against who's put in front of you, and that's
Yeah.
Chelsea, easy or not, difficult or not. They've had a road to the final that's consisted of Benfica, of Palmeiras, of Fluminense, so not necessarily bad teams.
Yeah, but it's true. I just realized they qualified as second in the group, losing
Correct.
against Flamengo. So they were kind of lucky to be in the easiest part of the draw because Flamengo had to face Bayern Munich in the round of 16, even though they were first.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, they were lucky. You can say that, but then they went with those opponents and they beat them. And then you had teams like Manchester City that they also had like those easy paths, but they were not able to beat Al Hilal, or for example Inter Milan, who lost against a Brazilian team like Fluminense. So of course, there's a lot of merit for this Chelsea to be in the final. They did a great season. They won the Europa League. So it's a good moment for Chelsea and for Enzo. I remember as soon as he arrived from Benfica, there were a lot of criticism to Chelsea in general. They were not playing well. They were not doing great based on all the money they spent in transfers. And now finally they're starting to have a good run of matches, winning an important tournament as the Europa League. And who knows, maybe they win this first Club World Cup with this format, you know?
Yeah, no, no, absolutely, absolutely. And you talk about the trajectory of Enzo Fernandez since joining them from Benfica. Not easy, a big price tag, massive price tag after winning the World Cup with Argentina, being named the best young player of the World Cup in 2022. The pressure was on him, and a lot of ups, a lot of downs. I think overall this season it's been more ups than downs. He had that slow part, a little bit down towards the start of the season, personal issues off the pitch. But since around maybe December or so, December, January, he's really picked up. He's been great, in great form for Chelsea. And, you know, we said it before, we kind of spoken about this. I said, and we kind of both said, if it's not a South American team winning the Club World Cup, hopefully it's an Argentine player that wins it. And Enzo Fernandez, and let's not forget Aaron Anselmino, another Argentine player with Chelsea. Those are the only two remaining. Real Madrid don't have an Argentine player, not yet,
Not yet.
and not yet, and Paris don't have an Argentine player. So the only ones left are on the Chelsea side. So at least for me, I want to see Chelsea win, and that's part of the reason why I actually have Crespo's jersey with Chelsea behind me, just kind of supporting them. So hopefully Chelsea gets the win on Sunday. On Sunday,
Yes, and also a lot of merit of Fluminense to get to the semifinals.
of
To all the
course.
Brazilian teams, I would love to say South American teams. The truth is that the Argentinians didn't do that well. Uh, but still, I mean, having 25% of the semifinalists from South America is something you didn't expect it before the Club World Cup. At this stage, everyone would have guessed that it was gonna be 100% Europeans, and it wasn't the case. Even in the quarterfinals, you had two Brazilians and then Al Hilal. So definitely some surprises that also made this tournament, in my opinion, even more entertaining.
Oh, this was a very fun tournament to watch, and credit where credit is due. The Brazilian teams you mentioned it, whether it's Botafogo, Palmeiras, Fluminense, they made it out. They made it out. They made it to the group. Sorry, and Flamengo. Excuse me. I knew I was forgetting a fourth Brazilian team. All four made it out of the group, as opposed to the two Argentine teams that didn't. All of them had Argentine players. So congratulations to them for getting that far, making the semifinals. I don't believe there's a third place match at this tournament. I don't believe so. I could be wrong, but I don't think there is. Not like in previous tournaments. So we're gonna have an Argentine in the final. Is an Argentine going to lift the trophy? I don't know about that. I don't know. Well, remains to be seen. Remains to be seen.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
let's get back to the chat. Joel, hey boys, good to see you. Good to see you too, Joel. Thank you so much for joining, a regular here as well on the Mundo Albiceleste YouTube channel. Keanu leads the tournament in assists and has some nice goals. If they win the final, he's definitely up for player of the tournament. I think he would potentially win it, player of the tournament for. I mean, I can't think of anybody else right now, especially if Chelsea win it. But I mean, depends. Courtois has been very solid for Real Madrid again, as always. So
Yeah,
Courtois
I
no
mean,
doubt.
I'm taking a look at it. At the, for example, the top goal scorers. You have Gonzalo Garcia from Real Madrid.
Ah,
If they get to the final, maybe he does a good job. Maybe he might
mm,
win it. But Enzo Fernandez, who won at this age, he already won the World Cup with Argentina, and he has the chance to win it with the club. And well, when he won it with Argentina, he was chosen the youngest, the
best
best.
young player.
Exactly, exactly. He's not as young to win it this time in this tournament, but still, great performances in these type of tournaments.
Oh, 100%, 100%. He also won with Defensa y Justicia, the Sudamericana. I believe when Crespo was their manager, the Sudamericana and the Recopa as well. So he knows how to win tournaments. Enzo, and I'm saying this while I'm knocking on wood. He really does know,
No.
and he does well. He does well. So congratulations to him and for all of Chelsea for making it this far. There's still a final to be played, um, and we'll see what gives on Sunday at MetLife. All right, let's continue. Rihanna, good morning to both of you. Good morning to you as well, Rihanna. Eki Fernandez to Real Sociedad and Almada to Benfica seems good. Fingers crossed. Yes, absolutely. We'll get to those transfers. There's a big one that we're going to get to, and BC is getting to it right now. De Paul leaving Europe at only 31 would be a disgrace. Di Maria is just now leaving, and Corsinia is asking about Eki Fernandez. Is it going to happen? And a big hello to Hemlock. Going back to BC's comment and just overall, Rodrigo De Paul linked with Inter Miami. I'll be honest, when this first broke out a couple of days ago, I thought no, like not now, maybe after the World Cup. This actually looks like it's going to happen, Osvaldo.
Yes, and I agree with the comments. Honestly, I think it's the wrong decision. I mean, we don't really talk about his personal life. Maybe he wants to live in Miami. There's a lot of things that go on in a player's life. That it's let's remember that not only players, they're human beings, and there's a lot of things that go into that decision. But thinking about the national team and the World Cup next year, if he takes this decision now and not maybe after the World Cup, I think it's the wrong one because yeah, he's only 31. You have Nicolas Otamendi, 37-year-old, still playing in Benfica. Um, so we talk about maybe Messi playing in Inter Miami, and I think Messi is something else. When we analyze Messi, it's not like we analyze another player. I think Messi can play in Inter Miami and then be a super important player in the World Cup because he's just different. But in general terms, I think that Rodrigo De Paul should stay in Europe in a team like Atletico Madrid, who's they're not doing great, but still it would be preparation for the World Cup than going to the MLS.
100%. I completely agree with you, Osvaldo. I don't think this is the right move, but I mean, again, you mentioned it. These players are, they're players, but they're human beings first, right? And maybe for him, for De Paul, he thinks, you know what? It's a year before the World Cup. I know my body, I know my conditioning, I know my fitness. I'll be able to play in the World Cup. Maybe, I don't know, he wants to get used to the heat of the United States or specifically of Florida if he wants to play there. I don't know what it is. Um, I've seen comments, I've read comments, people saying De Paul doesn't look as hungry when he plays with the national team. The hunger is not there. I think it's there. I just think if I'm being honest, I just think De Paul is tired. And maybe that's why at times his performances dip, whether it's with Atletico or with the Argentina national team. But, a year before the tournament starts, he would have to get, I would think Osvaldo, he'd have to get some sort of guarantee from Scaloni saying, yes, if you go to Inter Miami, you'll still be part of the World Cup. Or else I don't see how he goes, especially when you look at the other players in midfield. We always talk about it, the depth in midfield that Argentina has to move there a year out. He has to have some sort of guarantee, right, Osvaldo? I mean, something has to give.
Yes, yes, and I still think he would potentially start for the Argentina national team in the World Cup, even though he goes to Inter Miami. Uh, but yeah, for example, in the last match against Colombia, if I'm not mistaken, he was substituted out in the at halftime, something that is rare for the ball. Scaloni has always, even though he may have not had the best matches, he would always play the 90 minutes, and that's something that changed in the last match. And Scaloni, as you were saying, or Scaloni always says that the player that is in the best form is gonna play.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, and we talk also about how Scaloni also mentions, for example, in the case of Paredes, yeah, you can go to Boca, you can go to the MLS, you can go anywhere, and he says that it doesn't matter, but in papers, if you see who actually starts the games, it actually kind of matters.
No, what 100% it matters, and you mentioned it. De Paul these days has been substituted often. I remember in the World Cup when he was substituted. I believe it was versus the Netherlands. It was a game, Netherlands or Croatia. He was substituted out. He wasn't 100% fit, and even that was surprising. Now, 2 or 3 years later, he's being substituted out for Argentina. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. He's playing a lot of games, and you want to give chances to other players, but it's with the competition that's there, the competition that exists within the Argentina national team and specifically the midfield. It won't be easy for De Paul. I think what we could get is De Paul obviously at the World Cup, maybe starting, but I wouldn't be surprised if, I don't know, he gets dropped. I wouldn't. I'm not saying he's gonna get dropped, but if he's not fully fit, if there are other players in better form playing at a higher level, we could see some changes. We could 100% see some changes. It's crazy that someone like De Paul with a World Cup year moving to Inter Miami, for me, that's shocking. You mentioned Otamendi, 37 years of age, playing at Benfica. Messi moved to the MLS after winning the World Cup, and even that, people questioned it. De Paul at, what is it, 31, moving there now. I go back to surprising. I have no other word. It's shocking. It'd be surprising, very much so.
Yeah, yeah, and from the Inter Miami perspective, from the Messi, from Mascherano's perspective, this is great news. I mean, Inter Miami went, and the MLS in general, they went from getting players that were about to retire, great players, to now Inter Miami also getting some young players with a lot of potential, to now a player like Rodrigo De Paul in one of his best years, is for sure that jump in quality that, for example, Mascherano was saying in a press conference that day for Inter Miami, how he was not happy with the transfer market Inter Miami did, and this is a great transfer for them.
This would be a massive coup for them,
Yeah.
a massive pickup. Despite the fact that I still think they need better defenders, Rodrigo De Paul would be obviously a great addition to any MLS team. And in my opinion, even most teams, if not any team across Europe, I still think he's that good. Um, it's just, him going to Miami. I don't know. It'd be crazy if looking at it, at least on paper, you're the Argentina national team, the reigning World Cup champions at the World Cup. Two of your players play for Inter Miami. Lionel Messi
Yes.
and Rodrigo De Paul.
Yeah.
That'd be something.
And we know, of course, that this move, if it happens, it's because he has Messi in Inter Miami. There's
Yeah.
no chance he would go to Inter Miami if Messi wasn't there. And this, if this happens, would also confirm that Messi would stay in Inter Miami after there were some rumors in the last week or so of him potentially going for 6 months to another more competitive club before the World Cup. Well, if this happens, we would think that Messi would stay in Inter Miami.
Oh, I would think so. Yeah, no, this would probably kill any and all rumors or reports of Lionel Messi leaving Miami, at least before the next year or so.
Yeah.
There's no way, like you said, there's no way DePaul joins Miami if Messi's not there. And we were talking about it a little bit very briefly yesterday about Agüero, right? It was the same thing essentially. Agüero probably would not have went to Barcelona had Messi not been there, or at the very least expected to stay there. I don't think anyone expected Messi to leave Barcelona when he did, and especially the way it happened. But yeah, no, there's no way Messi leaves. I don't think at this point if DePaul goes.
Yes, and there's some fans from Racing Club, the club where De Paul started, the club that it said that the De Paul is a big fan of, and there's some I would say anger from them. But I think this is actually good news for Racing fans, because I would think that this is a move that from De Paul out of Europe, and I don't see him going back to Europe.
No,
You know what I
no.
mean? So
Yeah.
this could be like a step in between of him going to Racing potentially in a couple of years. So I wouldn't think this is bad news for the Racing Club fans, but that's just my perspective.
No, and I see that. I see what you mean. Yeah, I think him coming to North America kind of opens the door maybe a little bit, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4 years from now, whenever that might be, to go back to Racing in Argentina. because I don't think he comes to, let's say, Inter Miami and then goes back to Europe. I don't see that happening. And I think even if he were to come to Inter Miami, I don't think he would retire in the MLS. I think ultimately he might just go back. Similar to Paredes with Boca, Di Maria at Rosario, he'd just go back to Racing and, in all likelihood, retire there. So, yeah, I think the animosity or the anger from Racing fans, which to a certain degree I completely understand, is the fact that, you would leave Europe, but you won't come back home to Racing. Instead, you'll go to Inter Miami. And I think maybe that's where some of the anger is. But
Yeah.
I think he retires in all likelihood at Racing. All right, let's get to the chat. TGC777. Welcome, TGC, saying, sorry, no way De Paul starts in the next World Cup. The guy peaked in 2020 and 2022. De Paul doesn't have the legs anymore. Did you guys see him for Atletico during the Club World Cup? Yeah, he looked tired. And I'm not defending De Paul. I'm absolutely not. I'm just going to put this out there. I don't think you can judge any player's fitness at this Club World Cup, whether they did well or not, especially the European ones or even the South American ones. The players are all ridiculously tired, crazy overplayed. The number of matches that they all play is a very, very high number, very high amount. So if a player is tired, I wouldn't blame them at this point. Again, preseason starts in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, and if you actually, who knows, maybe in the Paul's mind, and we can all be wrong, and he might be right, and this is something good. Thinking about the World Cup, him having more resting time. The MLS is not like the European leagues. There's a couple of months where they don't play, and this could give the Paul those fresh legs he needs thinking about the World Cup. He will also be more used to the weather in the US, that all the Atletico Madrid team really suffered, especially in the first game against PSG. So you can also see this in the positive side of the Paul, maybe having a even better preparation for the World Cup, and getting to the World Cup not being as tired as many players got to this Club World Cup.
That's true. That's another way of looking at it. Absolutely. Whether it's the weather, even the schedule, right? There's the break. Essentially, the season ends, what is it, in September, October? Then you have the playoffs. And then from December till February, the season is done, right? They call it the off season in North America. But then the season restarts in February. So De Paul would have February, March, April, May, 3 to 4 months, essentially, to prepare. Not that different from the 2022 World Cup, if you really think about it, where the season started in August, September, October, up until November. I believe they were playing essentially when the World Cup started on November 18, was it? 18 or 20th when it started? So this could be a good thing. This absolutely could be a good thing. I don't know. You're right. I didn't think of it that way. Corsiniats, who can replace him? Paredes going back to Boca, and other players who are not regular in the national team shirt have not proved to be as good, I think. It depends. Obviously we have Palacios, you have Nico Paz. I don't know what happens with Lo Celso. I don't know where you want to play Thiago Almada, if you're strictly going to play him down the wing. We'll see what happens with Enzo Fernandez, another one. That's the big name that a lot of people are talking about. Do you think it happens? You think he leaves Saudi Arabia? I would like to see that.
I really hope so. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but Enzo Fernandez, there's a lot of good players in that position for Argentina, young talents. We talk a lot about Alan Varela and other players, but I think Enzo Fernandez, from what I saw in Boca, he was the best of those young talents. I really think he's really good. And yeah, hopefully that now him playing in Saudi Arabia is just for like a year, and now he can move to a team in Europe. Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully he could be a great addition. He really could be. Could be maybe similar to what Enzo was for us in 2022. Right? No one really maybe expected him too much to make the team, despite him being in great form. If Enzo Fernandez can be in good form, makes a switch over to Sociedad. If he does well, we could see him in the national team for the World Cup. There's a lot. This is a big World Cup year. This is a big year before the World Cup. There's a lot of names, whether it's him, Enzo Fernandez, what's going to happen with De Paul. Emiliano Martinez is another one. Garnacho is another one. Carboni looks to be on his way out from Inter to join Genoa on loan. there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of players, a lot of news coming up, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. We'll see. Well, there's a lot of stuff. Even Gabriel Heinze ended up joining Arsenal's coaching staff. So even
Yes.
when it comes to coaches,
Yes,
it's really,
and they just announced, I don't know if you saw this, Roy, they just announced, I think like an hour ago, that Carlos Tevez is the new coach of Talleres de
yeah,
Córdoba.
in
Yeah.
Cordoba, yeah, I saw
You,
that as well. So he's back coaching. Tevez is back coaching.
yeah.
Um, Another one, I mean, this one kind of flew under the radar. I don't think it's going to make ultimately much of a difference. Roman Vega, the left back from the youth team, left back for Argentina, he joined Zenit St. Petersburg. So he joins him from Argentinos Juniors. So there's a lot. This offseason's been, this transfer season, excuse me, has been something so far, and there's still a lot to go.
For some reason, I'm trying to think, there was a lot of Argentines that ended up in Zenit at some point of their
Yeah,
career.
yeah.
I was thinking of Ascasiba, Driussi, and none
I
of
have the
them
list.
really. Say it again.
I have the list.
You have the list? Well, I
Yeah.
remember Paredes too. The only one that really succeeded afterwards was Paredes. Or I don't know, maybe you have another one. I
Yeah.
remember Gondu.
No, yeah, no, no. There's a total of 10 Argentine players that have historically played for Zenit. Alejandro Dominguez is one.
Okay.
Christian Ansaldi, another one. And I remember he was in very good form at one point, but he wasn't being called up for Argentina way back when. Ezekiel Garay joined Zenit after the
Yeah.
2014 World Cup. I believe he was at Benfica at the time, or Valencia, but I believe it was Benfica. Sebastian Driussi, before going to the MLS and everything. Emiliano Rigoni is
Yeah.
another one. Emmanuel Mamana, Matias Craneviter, Leandro Paredes, and Gondu. So 10 total. Paredes is the only one that's essentially, I don't want to say made it big, but has gone on to have a more successful career, let's say,
Yeah.
than the others.
Especially in the national team. Yeah.
Yeah, especially with the national team. And there's been a lot. So a lot of news coming up. Valentin Carboni, of course, the Genoa, as I mentioned. Uh, let's get back to the chat. Pemba, hello. How are you? We're doing great. Thank you for joining. Let's continue. This is a good question. Keanu Ruiz, do you guys believe there's more merit to the players going to the MLS rather than Saudi League? Do you believe players go to MLS now to try and build the league and promote it? It depends. You know, it's I think if you're Argentina, you might not call up players from either league. I think Scaloni kind of has his mind set on European-based players. You can argue in terms of maybe which league is better. I don't know. I haven't thought about it too much as well, though. I don't know about you,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I have to double check this, but I listened to this today. I'm not sure. Again, I have to double check it. But in the last World Cup, the MLS was one of the top three leagues, if I'm not mistaken, that had more players. Believe it or not, of course, there was national teams that maybe were not that good, and the better national team had players from Europe. But still, the MLS has some good. Like it's not what it used to be. Let
no, of course not. Of course not. No. It's we get a lot more players, and
me see.
I mean, let's not forget Thiago Almada. Almada won the World Cup while he was with Atlanta United in the United States in 2022. So it's there. It's there.
But the Saudi Arabia League, it's also been growing. I don't know which
Massive.
one it's best.
Yeah.
Al Hilal did a good Club World Cup, surprising couple of big teams. So yeah, both leagues are growing. They're not what they used to be, and we have to adapt also to players like De Paul going to the MLS or other players going into the Saudi Arabia League, and just think about it in some cases like Enzo Fernandez as a step in between going to a big team in Europe, and
Yeah.
we gotta adapt to that because we're gonna see it even more.
I think so. I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of years down the line we continue to see more players, not just going to Saudi Arabia, but to the MLS. If I'm being honest, I can certainly see that. The continue, as you mentioned, both leagues continue to grow, and they're not what they used to be. They're not what they used to be. BC is saying Saudi league is currently better, but MLS will be bigger eventually. Hopefully, Scaloni lets players know they won't play in the World Cup if they go to the MLS or Saudi, except for Messi. And going back to Zenit, Korsiniak saying Mamana was a gem. Too bad he got undone by injuries. Otherwise, he would be another Romero. He was held in high regard at one point, Mamana. I know that by a lot of people. A lot of people expected him to do very, very well all those years back. Um, let's continue on. Rian saying if Eki goes to Real, then he can take De Paul's position. Not too far off. I think they do need at least one player. Yeah, one midfielder in their 20s at the World Cup. I think that's a must for Argentina, at least for the legs. Just someone to run and get that going. TGC saying get Eki Fernandez in the midfield. Eki, Enzo, and McAllister is a strong combination. 100%. Cesar saying maybe De Paul wants to move to Miami because of how congested the schedule has been in Europe, as you had mentioned earlier, Osvaldo. So it's a possibility. It's certainly a possibility. Savvy, welcome Savvy, saying Messi doesn't need to go anywhere for a few months. TGC, just don't take Angel Correa and Dybala to the next World Cup. I would also add Lo Celso too. He'll get injured after taking part in his first game. It's cruel to say. It's absolutely cruel to say. And I love Correa, I love Dybala, and I love Lo Celso. I don't think I'll take any one of those three at the World Cup. I don't know about you as well. I don't see a place for any one of those three. It's
No.
crazy to say.
Yeah, not yet. I mean, we still have 1 year for the World Cup,
Right.
but it's true. Especially Lo Celso and Dybala, very injury prone.
Yeah.
So we'll see if they get in good form and shape to the tournament. But yeah, even in those positions, we have so many players of great level.
Very, very high level. Very high level. Isavi Messi doesn't need to leave for a few months. Let his body rest. De Paul should stay in Europe. But man, he would be a solid pickup for Inter. He'd be a massive pickup for them. Jim Futbolista, I like the name. Welcome. Eki Fernandez to Real Sociedad as Zubimendi's replacement or Atletico Madrid. Ooh. You know what? I don't. Maybe Sociedad more. As much as I love Diego Simeone, Argentine players either do well with him or don't do well with him. But Eki Fernandez to Sociedad, I think, is good, especially if he's guaranteed a spot to
Yeah,
play.
yeah, no, and Sociedad has been playing well in the last couple of
Yeah,
seasons.
yeah,
Like,
no, they've always been good. If I'm not mistaken, I don't believe they've ever been relegated. Is it them or Athletic Club, Bilbao, that have never been relegated? But they've been doing well consistently, all things considered, of course. Mr. Happy, hey guys, hello, Mr. Happy, how are you, my friend? BC Garnacho needs to leave United. They're turning into AC Milan. That made me laugh. I won't lie. Cavi, welcome, Cavi. Enzo Barrenechea, McAllister, and Enzo Fernandez, best midfield trio in Argentina. And TGC, Saudi does not have a spending cap like the MLS, so they are definitely better than the MLS. And BC saying it's going to be humid in the United States for the World Cup. All right. Talking about all these players, another legend goes back home. Angel Di Maria goes back to Rosario Central. A move that maybe a year ago did not look like it was ever going to happen, and with all the threats that were happening to Di Maria and his family. But nice to see Di Maria finally go back home and ultimately finish his career.
yeah, yeah, and you realize in that presentation why he did that decision. Like he was crying. It was literally his dream to come back one day to Rosario Central. So despite all those threats that are not something small at all, when it comes to players taking a big decision as this one. But again, when you saw how Di Maria was so emotional in that presentation, you realize why he made that decision. I can't wait to see him play with Rosario Central. They have a good team. They do have a good team. If I'm not mistaken, they are in the Copa Libertadores. I have to double check. Maybe
Oh.
they're in the one for next year. I don't know if you know Roy, but I'm
Mhm.
excited to see them play just in the league.
No. I honestly, I'm not sure about that if they're in the
Let me
Libertadores,
see.
but I heard Alejo Velis might be going back to Rosario Central for 1 year as well. So there's another youngster that could learn from a veteran. But no, Rosario have some some fun players to
Yeah,
watch. Um, if you look at Di Maria's career overall, he's played for essentially some of the biggest, if not the biggest, teams in every single league. He left Rosario, went to Benfica, one of the biggest clubs in Portugal. After that, went to Real Madrid, one of the biggest clubs in Spain. After that, went to Manchester United, one of the biggest clubs in England. After that, PSG, one of the biggest clubs in France. Italy, Juventus, one of the biggest clubs in Italy. Back to Benfica now, Rosario. Um, a tremendous player, and I can't think of a single fan base of any club that he went to that dislikes him. He's been absolutely loved everywhere at every team, minus maybe United, but even that's been there's been a lot of love towards him at United at times.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And yeah, Rosario Central doesn't play Libertadores or Sudamericana. They're also out of
Oh,
the Copa Argentina. So Di Maria would essentially only play at least this season the
the league.
domestic league. Uh, so yeah, we'll see. I can't wait to see him play.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It will be fun, and as long as he's able to stay healthy, which I think he should be at this point, I think it'll be fun to watch. Corsiniat, I always defended Angel Di Maria. BC saying Di Maria should not have been sold from Real. Yeah, but we know the story there, and after that there was the whole James Rodriguez deal and all that stuff that happened, and the letter in the World Cup final before the World Cup final. BC, he was man of the match in the 2014 Champions League final, and would have been if he played in the 2014 World Cup final. He was tremendous in that game versus Atletico. For those that don't remember, to go or for those that haven't watched it, go watch the highlights. Di Maria in the final in 2014 was just a joy to watch. And I'm saying this as someone that is the furthest thing from a Real Madrid fan. He was a joy to watch. Rian saying Van Gaal almost ruined his career. Yeah, he doesn't seem to like Argentine players. We know the history. We've spoken about it. Not a big fan. Not a big fan. All right. Next up, from one player leaving Benfica to another one potentially joining Benfica, Thiago Almada, 35 million euro bid rejected, 40 million euro bid expected. I think this is a good place for him, Osvaldo.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know in which position Leon can really reject a 35 million offer when there's so many reports that they would be relegated to second division. Uh, but yeah, I think it would be a good move, especially if Leon finally gets relegated to second division. But something that happens to me with Thiago Almada is that after Vélez and he went to the MLS, and maybe you would think that okay, after going to Atlanta United, that's his step to then go to a big European team, and then he ended up in Botafogo, and after that you're like okay, now he goes to a big European team, and he went to Lyon, and now I was expecting also a move, a bigger move. I don't know in my consideration or in yours, Roy, if Benfica is a better team than Lyon, but I
I,
expected a little bit more.
I 100%. I know exactly what you mean. I mean, at this point, he's 24. Yes, he went from Vélez to Atlanta. After that, you kind of expect eventually, especially after Lyon, to go to a big team or a bigger team. And whether that would have been in England or Italy or France or Spain or wherever, Benfica for me, I'm happy about because it's a World Cup year, and I think he can do very well. But after that, yeah, eventually I do want to see Almada play or at least challenge or be with a team that challenges, let's say, for the Champions League. Like I want him to be playing for, if it's in Germany, it's Bayern Munich. If it's in Spain, it's Barcelona. I'd love to see that. Barcelona or Madrid. Madrid will never happen. If it's England, play for a top team there. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's his size because he's relatively small. I don't know what it is. He left Velas, went to Atlanta, did obviously extremely well. Botafogo for pretty much half a season, then Lyon half a season, back to Botafogo, now leaving. His career trajectory has been very odd, um, but he does well with the national team. So it's for me that's what matters the most. But I understand what you mean. It's you would expect him to leave Lyon, Botafogo, and go for a bigger name club, let's say. Um, I do agree with that. It's an odd one for me.
Yeah, in the last double match day, I think that he was probably the best player in Argentina.
Oh yeah.
And you're talking about the national team that won the last World Cup. So we're talking about a player with a huge potential, who, in my opinion, can easily play for a really big team. At least one of the biggest leagues. The Portuguese league, it's big. I wouldn't say that it's not. I mean, Di Maria was playing there. Otamendi plays there, but still, I would say that the big four leagues would be the Spain, the Spanish one, the Italian one,
Mhm.
and and the Premier League. Um, I would expect him to go to one of those leagues and in a big club there.
Yeah, I would expect him to. The talent is really there. He's crazy talented. I don't know if it's his agent. I don't know what it is, but something's off. Something's off in his trajectory, and he has the talent to play elsewhere for sure at a bigger club. I agree. I agree. Um, Gavi talking or asking about how good is Enzo Barrenechea? Where is he going to play next year, Villa or another club? He's technically signed to Aston Villa. I don't know if he's going to stay there. I haven't read any rumors or reports. He was on loan at Valencia, and they barely stayed in La Liga, just saving off relegation. I don't know. I don't. He's another one. He has potential. Enzo definitely has potential, but this is a make or break season for him. He's 24. World Cups next year. If he wants to be there, he has to play and he has to play well. So I don't know. I don't know. Cesare Tagliafico linked to any clubs this summer? He's been linked to a couple. I'll tell you that much. He's been linked with Roma, Sevilla, Juventus, Milan, West Ham. He's been linked everywhere at different clubs. He's going to be 33 this summer. If he does sign a contract, it's probably going to be his last maybe big contract. He is needed in the national team. He's someone that has to get playing time, that has to be ready for the World Cup because I mean, Osvaldo, we don't really have another natural left back with the experience that he has.
No, no, because I mean, you have Marcos Acuna, who I think did a good Club World Cup, but then Valentin Barco, who is not even playing in that position and never really, I don't think he played yet with the national team, even though he was called up. Um, so yeah, we don't have many players in that position.
No, not much. So we need one. We absolutely need one, and it doesn't look like Valentin Barco is going to be it anytime soon. Um, BC Portuguese League has won more Champions League than France. Hey, that's a fact. That is 100% a fact. It's just overall the league, or we're talking about the teams itself, right? If he's going to go, I would have expected a bigger team. No disrespect to Benfica, by the way. I'm a fan of theirs, but just at least on paper, a bigger team. TGC, Man United ruined Garnacho's development. The club denied his participation at the Under 20 World Cup and Olympics, which would have been beneficial for his career and helpful to both Argentina and Man United.
That's
Yes,
true.
yeah, that's very true. He could have been at the 2023 Under 20 World Cup. He didn't go. At the Olympics last summer, he didn't go. United needed him, and then they got rid of the coach that was playing him, and had a coach that wasn't really playing him. So, but he's still young. He's still young. I think 20. Well, TGC saying it here. Yeah, there you go. Good thing Garnacho is only 20 years old. Um, TGC, Emi Martinez, Chelsea or United. I hope Chelsea, if I'm being honest. Nothing against United. It's just they seem a little bit more stable, kind of. I don't know. United's difficult to watch these days.
Yeah,
Very
yeah. And
difficult.
Chelsea are in the Club World Cup final. They won the Europa League. I would prefer Chelsea. Yeah,
Yeah. Isavi talking about, yeah, he does get Champions League with Benfica. TGC, Tagliafico's a solid player. He approaches the game very professionally. I love him. I'm a big fan of Tagliafico's. Um, Dian, absolutely. We need players left back, right back, and we'll be 100% sorted. Cavi, Julio Soler, good left back at Bournemouth. Yes, but he hasn't been called up. So this is going to be a big season for him at Bournemouth. Let's see. He has some competition at the club. We'll see what gives. Keanu's Atleti still in for? I don't believe so. I mean, they have Oblak and they have Juan Musso. So they have a very good number one and a pretty good number two as well. So I don't see Atletico being in for Divo. I don't see that happening. All right. Let's get to the last thing here. Lionel Messi. I mean, 2 goals for Inter Miami versus Montreal. Could have had 3 goals. Could have had 4 goals. Could have had 3, 4 assists. This was men against boys as well. He was in Montreal. I'm in Montreal. Um, Played great. It's Messi. It's Messi.
yeah, yeah. And it started weird the match because Messi basically gave the ball for the first goal for Montreal. I I read on X And it's true, I don't remember Messi giving a goal to the opponent like that ever. It was strange to see. I don't know if
The
you remember
the
one
only
like
one
that.
that comes to, well, the only one that comes to mind, and it wasn't as direct
The
as that.
final,
Yeah, the final.
yeah, yeah. But this one was very direct. This
No,
one,
this was an assist. This was a pass.
he was an assist. But
This was
after that, he played one of the best matches since he came to the MLS. It was
yeah.
crazy. Yeah, I mean, you were there, right? Were you at the stadium?
We were there, but no, we were at the stadium, and the number. I'll tell you this: the number of people outside of the stadium in that area that were wearing Messi shirts. I saw a lot wearing Argentina shirts. The one a lot were even more wearing Messi shirts, all ages, from kids to teenagers to adults. There's something about Messi where when he's in town, when he's playing against your team, you feel it. You know, like there's something. There's something. And tickets were, to give you an idea, on Friday, the game was on Saturday. On Friday, tickets were, the cheapest ticket resale was $150. That was the cheapest resale on Friday. By Saturday, the cheapest retail was $275.
Wow.
And tickets were going significantly higher, significantly higher.
Yeah.
So there's something about Messi, and even when you go back, you watch the highlights, some of his dribbles, his passes, his goals, everything. It's men against boys. People say it's the MLS. Yes, but he did this against Real Madrid in the semifinals of a Champions League.
Yeah.
He scored these kinds of goals in cup finals, in league matches, in tournaments, and he continues to do it. So for me, that's not an argument. I'm sorry, anyone trying to put him down.
I agree, and I was actually talking before that match that day with a friend who was saying, "Oh, I don't know if Messi will should be a starter for Argentina in the World Cup."
Mm.
And yes, someone could argue it was against in the MLS. It was against Montreal, which I think they're last in the East Conference. But in the last double match day, especially in the last match, that was the one that Messi played against Colombia with Thiago Almada. He was one of the best players of the match with those passes he made. I remember. So still, in my opinion, even though yeah he plays in a league that is not as strong as the European leagues, he still makes the difference when he comes to the national team, when he plays with rivals that are the best in the world. He still has it, and I think that he
Yeah.
answering that question from my friend. I think he should start in the World Cup next year.
I think he should start. I don't think every game is made for him. Like I think some games he'll play better than others just because the way the team is set up or the opponent, it's going to be better suited for him. I think he's more than good enough to still start. Um, I just don't know if he has the legs to go 90 minutes in every single game. I don't think he does. Not over a span of 7 games. I don't know how many games this World Cup's going to have for each team. But at that age, you have to use them wisely. I wouldn't be surprised if at one point, let's say there's a match where Argentina's winning and they're winning comfortably, if Messi comes off. I wouldn't be surprised about that, if I'm being honest. But I still think he's more than good enough to start for Argentina, 100%. Let's see what there is here. Cesar talking about there's been a lot of great players who drastically underperform with United. Di Maria, Anthony McTominay, the most recent players, 100%. Mistiano Pinaldo saying Garnacho had his chances to show himself. He just isn't that good. He's still young, he's still developing. That's all I could say about him. And I'm a fan. I still think he has the potential to do very, very well and grow. BC Messi up to 870 goals. That is ridiculous. He has a chance to break Juninho's record for most free kick goals ever. I think, what is he, 10 goals or 8 or something like that? I don't think he's too far off.
No,
When it comes to that.
and talking about breaking records, I think that in the next World Cup, if he scores
Yeah,
4 goals, he would surpass Miroslav Klose
yeah,
as the top goal scorers in World Cups.
yeah. That would be fun to watch. That would be fun to watch. Keanu Ruiz, what you make of the stadium? Montreal is not hosting the World Cup next year. I believe there's only 2 Canadian cities that are Toronto, which is on the East Coast, and Vancouver, which is all the way on the West Coast. Those are the only two cities, I believe, in all of Canada that are hosting the World Cup. Montreal is not one of them. Let's see. BC Ganacho's overhead goal versus Everton had more skill in it than many players have shown their entire careers. Yes. Keanu Ruiz, not everyone is Lamine Yamal, guys. Garna's only 20. He has such a long career ahead. That he does. He's still very, very young. Before we completely wrap things up, Osvaldo, any final thoughts? Anything you want to talk about or mention before we close up?
No, we can just mention, Roy, if you're okay with it, that we are giving away in our website this 2022 World Cup ball signed by the one and only Julian Alvarez. So let me see if you can see the signature. There you go.
Right there, yeah.
So if you guys want to win it, you can enter the site. We're doing giveaways every month. We're also doing a retro jersey giveaway. This month is the Diego Maradona from 1986. I don't know if you saw that on the website, Roy. Yes, yes. So we're also doing a trivia. That's the way you win this ball. If you play that trivia, every week there's new question, a new quiz, you would say, and the winner basically of the whole year that answers more right questions wins the ball. And there's also other prizes. So a lot of new things in the Mundo Albiceleste website with Roy. We're trying to grow everything towards the World Cup next year. So yeah, guys, just stay tuned and visit the website. That there's a lot of new things.
Oh, significantly. A lot of changes coming up, a lot of good things. Thank you for that, Osvaldo. This week's, we have the trivia up. It's on the website. Sign up. You get a chance to win. We're going to try and have some prizes essentially every month. Julian Alvarez 2022 signed World Cup ball. I want that one. And no, we got a lot of stuff coming up. It's the World Cup year, not just on YouTube or social media, but there's a lot of stuff, a lot of interesting stuff that we're preparing for the World Cup. So stay tuned. Hit the like button if you haven't. MundoAlbiceleste.com. Go there to get all your Argentina news. On that note, I want to say a big, big thank you to you, Osvaldo. And as always, of course, a big thank you to everybody that's joined us tonight or this afternoon or this morning, depending on wherever you are on this planet. Thank you so much for joining. If you're watching us on repeat and on the archives, thank you once more. Let us know down below in the comments what your thoughts are on all the transfers coming up that have been happening. Rodrigo De Paul to Inter Miami, and Thiago Almada to Benfica. What's going to happen with Emiliano Martinez, Di Maria to Rosario, and Messi, of course. As always, everybody, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications button if you haven't already. My name is Roy Nemer of MundoAlbiceleste.com, joined by, of course, Osvaldo Godoy, also of MundoAlbiceleste.com. Until next time, everybody, take care. Goodbye.